I'm Duncan McLeod, and this is the TechCentral Show, brought to you today by MTN Business. If you haven't done so already, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/TechCentral. Hit that subscribe button and you'll never miss another episode. Now, we're going to be talking about the Internet of Things, IoT, today, and specifically the Sigfox network, which was recently saved by a consortium that included some of its biggest customers. To tell us all about that and about IoT and why we should all be very excited about it and what it can do, I'm joined by the Chief Commercial Officer for Sigfox South Africa, and that's Sumenish Naidoo. Sumeshin, thanks for coming into the studio. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Duncan, and nice to meet you, and thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Now, I'm actually quite excited about IoT technology personally because I know what some of the applications that this can be used for, but we're going to explore this in quite a bit more detail today. But I thought it might be useful. Everyone hears the term IoT bandied around all the time, but there will be people watching and listening to this show who don't know what it really is. Can you give us the sort of the basics of what IoT is and why it's exciting?
So IoT stands for Internet of Things, and at a very basic level, it allows you to connect devices and sensors and physical assets to the network. So previously, assets that did not have a voice, that did not have a life, through smart devices, you now can connect it digitally to the internet.
Okay.
That's what IoT is in a very basic form.
Yeah. But there's so much excitement about this. Why are people so excited about IoT? What is it? What can it do that you can't, for example, do with a cellular network?
So the traditional cellular networks play a very good role in ensuring that you can get high data moved between devices in terms of if it's video or if it's voice. They consume a lot of data, and you need a big data pipe for that.
Right. They're designed to do that.
Designed to do that, yes. And that's where the value is, because when we all want to use all of the social apps.
Yeah.
Where IoT comes in is that when you start to look at Internet of Things, and when you want to look at sending data for very specific requirements at low power requirements, where you now you have power constraints that you don't necessarily have available power, you have assets that are moving. That's where IoT comes in with its value. And generally you would find that IoT applications are battery-operated devices and sensors that are connected to physical assets.
Okay, right. And these batteries in these devices, because this network is so low power, they can be left for years, right?
That's correct. So the beauty of it is that sometimes you can have a lithium battery, a battery that can, a AA, AAA, a watch battery as an example in some of these devices. And the way IoT generally works is it's different to conventional GSM like a cell phone.
Right.
Because generally your cell phone is constantly on, constantly searching for a network. It's pinged to a network and it gets authority from the network to speak. The beauty of IoT and specifically Sigfox is that the device can sleep, and then on a specific event happening, like a temperature threshold or a movement, it then wakes up, it triggers, it sends a message, and it goes back to sleep. So that's why you can get, in certain instances, 5 years, up to 8 years, in certain instances, 10 years, with Sigfox-enabled devices.
Okay. So is it mainly used for tracking? Would a farmer, for example, put one on his cows, and so he knows where they are and what they're up to, and it could send him alerts if they wander outside a certain area, for example?
So let me talk you through that. Let me talk you through that use case.
Sure.
So cattle tracking is a big market for us in the agricultural space. Also, crop monitoring in terms of humidity in the soil, in terms of your irrigation systems, as an example. So what you would find generally is that to put up an IoT network, you would have to go and physically set up your own network in the country.
Yeah.
Where Sigfox comes in as value is that we provide the IoT network, and it's the only open access network in the country. So if you're a farmer, all you've got to do is you've got to partner with a solution provider that can provide you those Sigfox-enabled devices, and you can then stick them onto your animals. And generally, you don't need to put them onto all your animals. You can put them onto maybe one or two in your herd.
Sure.
And then that gives you data analytics then to track your herd, whether they're going obviously, depending on the type of animal.
Yeah.
So that's where we see the sort of a good market for us. But there's lots of other use cases. So just to give you an example, you speak of asset tracking. So let me start there. In the vehicle tracking space, as Sigfox, we're not a primary technology, because the beauty of IoT is that you can have convergence, multiple technologies that work seamlessly together. So you find generally fleet management systems consume a lot of data. People want lots and lots of data per second tracking. So generally the GSM solutions are there for fleet management.
Okay.
For Sigfox, where we are generally sometimes and in most instances, the secondary technology, because what happens is the benefit of our technology is that it's not easily jammable.
All right.
So what happens is when a vehicle then goes into recovery mode, we become the primary for those companies that use us. We become then the primary technology for vehicle recovery. So that's an area. Another area for us that's big, we see in the supply chain and logistics space. If you think about supply chain and logistics, there's various use cases. There's cold chain monitoring. There's actual asset tracking of what we call returnable transport packaging. The likes of your pallets, high-value pallets, bins, steel roller cages. So now what starts to happen is that we can now start to add on or install mobile or battery-operated devices to these moving assets, which you couldn't necessarily do before, right? You can now also, the fact that the batteries are smaller, they consume low power, they are smaller. You can conceal these devices within certain of your assets so that they're not so easily noticeable. Other use cases for us in the country, utilities. We have over 200,000 smart water meters that's connected across the country by municipalities as well as within the private sector. And that gives lots of value to the municipalities themselves for revenue collection, for provisioning of water supply, for residents, for also understanding what the usage is in the various communities.
Sounds like a prerequisite for a smart city.
Correct, yes. So I always say to CIOs and CTOs, one of the things that IoT does, and especially where Sigfox value proposition is that we help you take your digital transformation journey from PowerPoints to actual implementation.
And it works through load shedding, which is
yes.
a added bonus, of course. All right, let's talk about the history of Sigfox in South Africa. Dark Fibre Africa, which is part of CIVH, which is ultimately controlled, I think, by Remgro, although there is some shake-up going on in that group at the moment. They launched a company called SqwidNet about 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was. 2016, about 7 years ago. And they built the Sigfox network in South Africa, but they weren't able to make it a commercial success. And they announced, I think 2 years ago now, that they were planning to exit this business unless they could find a solution. And a solution actually came about through Sigfox's customers who were already using the network. But take us through the backstory here. How did Sigfox, and I know some of this may be before your time, but just take us through the history of how Sigfox entered the South African market, the relationship with DFA and SqwidNet, what happened, and how you rescued the network here in South Africa and where it's going. Okay, I know that's a lot of ground to cover.
Sure. So I'll take it in small chunks.
Sure.
Okay. So Sigfox originates from the military. It's a military technology.
Okay.
Right? And it was then there were two founders of the technology.
It's a French company.
French technology. So it still is a resident French technology. It's actually a French asset. And that also there's an amazing story to the global Sigfox story. But let me just start locally. So in 2021, SqwidNet rolled out a business-grade network.
Okay.
And with that, there were certain requirements that when you roll out a network, you've got to reach 80% within 2 to 3 years.
That's population coverage.
Population coverage, yes. We currently have over 92% population coverage, and that's about 55% of land mass. Okay. So SqwidNet built an exceptional network. Unfortunately, at that point in time, there was various global things happening. One, we all know, COVID came. Then came kind of the economic downturn that was associated with COVID. And unfortunately, the uptake in IoT was not as prominent globally. Okay, so it was both at a South African level as well as at a global level that we were in kind of a turmoil as an economic sector. So SqwidNet then in 2021 went through a difficult time, and obviously there were certain strategic decisions that were taken by then, which was DFA, Dark Fibre Africa, and obviously the shareholder being CIVH. And as a single shareholder, it was, if you looked at that entire asset, it was quite a significant asset to deploy, right?
You've mentioned that you have about 1,500 base stations around the country.
Yes, we have about
50. Network.
That's a big network. You can compare us to a telco, right? We have high-grade sites nationally. And as I said, there was a performance level to ensure that we meet the rollout. And we actually did. Up until today, South Africa stands as a global standard within the Sigfox group for a deployment of the network. So what happened, CIVH then decided, okay, this is not sustainable for them for various reasons. And an amazing story, 3 of the biggest customers came in to what you call rescue the network, right? And so if you look at Fidelity ADT, being one of the biggest security companies and service providers in the country, they came in and decided that they would want to take a stake in the business. You all know Discovery as a insurance and financial services company, as well as health services provider, also a big user of the technology, also came in and bought a percentage stake into the business. Macrocom, which is a big utilities systems integrator in the country, also who has over 200,000 water meters on the network, also came in and bought a percentage stake. And then the CIVH still remains a shareholder because it's a strategic asset for them as well, and they still remain in the business. And then we also have Buffett, a group called Buffett Investments, who's a venture capital firm, funding firm. They've came in and they've also procured 20%.
Buffett Investments, wasn't that the business that at one point was looking at Cell C?
They do have some interest. Yes, they do have interest in other telcos.
It's the same entity.
It's the same entity.
Yeah,
yes.
There's a billionaire behind it. I forget his name.
That's correct.
Reclusive billionaire.
Yes.
What is his name? I've forgotten.
I think it's Jonathan Bear.
Jonathan Bear, that's right. Yeah, he was talking to Cell C for ages and eventually walked away. I'm not sure what the story was there, but he's very, very reclusive and doesn't do media interviews. But that's an aside. So the customers came in and effectively rescued this business. Does anyone have control now, or are they all equal shareholding?
So within, I would say, relatively equal share amongst the 5 shareholders, which is great because you have now you ensure that there's when your customers start. So firstly, I must say that Sigfox remains an open access network, right? So what it means is that it's fair play, fair principles for everyone and that uses the network. So from a shareholder perspective, it's great where customers come in because now you can ensure the sustainability of the network, you can ensure longevity, and you can also ensure continuous investment and improvement in the network. So just this year, we have significant investment in terms of densification. As I said to you, we've got 1,500 odd high sites. This year alone, we're deploying another 100 sites.
Where are you putting those in out of interest?
So based on we follow the customer principle. So we obviously look at where the so the beauty of Sigfox, you can always see where your devices are on the network. It's transparent. We're transparent as a user. You'll be able to see where your devices are communicating from, to which tower or towers, because in the Sigfox environment, in terms of our protocol, we guarantee that in the urban areas, up to 3 of our high sites will pick up a message at any given point. We also, due to load shedding load shedding does bring some complexity, but it also brings some unique business solutions. So, as I said, as Sigfox, we consume very low power. One of our base stations consumes around 60 watts. Okay, this like a light bulb.
Light bulb is nothing.
So it's not high consuming tech. So that's where we can now bring innovative solutions, solar powered solutions, battery redundancy solutions, as well as the areas that we're following are generally where we're starting to see what we call single cover devices, where we always want to ensure that up to 3 base stations cover your messages from a redundancy perspective, because Sigfox South Africa, we also operate on a service level base. So we're the only network that provides a service level, and we get monitored by Sigfox Global for that.
Okay.
And we then report on those stats monthly.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. And Sigfox globally, have they taken any share in this local business?
So let me just also share with you. So the global Sigfox business was also purchased.
Was it?
Yes, it was purchased at the point in time when Sigfox South Africa went through its turmoil. The global network was also purchased by, and that was also, there's a great story out there. As I said, it's a French asset, still remains a French asset. So one of the founder employees of Sigfox Global, who then left Sigfox to go and set up his own operator in Taiwan and Singapore, that entity called Unibiz then bought the Sigfox technology stack within.
Okay.
And it's growing. There's over 73 countries now where you can find the Sigfox network. Wow. And one of the beauties is that you can roam, wherever we have a network, your device can roam on the network, provided that it's within the certain radio frequency or in the certain zone, communication zone, then it will be able to. Yeah.
Okay. So SqwidNet had a tough time making this work. Is this business commercially sustainable now? And if so, what are you doing differently?
So what we're doing differently now is that, with Unibiz coming in, the business model is changed a bit. They've now started to relax some of the constraints around the way you do business. So as Unibiz themselves being a system integrator and a solution provider, they started to bring in a lot of solutions into the market, and also starting to promote what we call convergence between technologies. So initially there was a bit of a turf war going on between the various technologies like Sigfox, LoRa, as an example, NB-IoT. Now with Sigfox coming in, if you follow the news around the global Sigfox brand, you'll see Sigfox is promoting convergence, where there's some strategic relationships and deals being done at a global level, where now Sigfox and LoRa, as an example, can be found on the same chipset, which now starts to make your devices cheaper, which starts to make your use case more better. So you can actually now get more coverage with the same device. So that's one of the things that's happening at a global level. At a local level, with the shareholders coming in, obviously, it starts to infuse a new mindset, new idea to grow the business. Strangely enough, since the relaunch, I'm proud to say that we've grown 30% in the last year in terms of our activations.
Okay.
We have just under 1 million registered devices on our network, which means that these devices are already certified.
1 million in South Africa?
Yeah, 1 million in South Africa.
Wow.
12 million globally, Sigfox on the network. And our run rate each month is around 12,000 net new connections a month. So, yes, definitely we want, the consultants will tell you about the billions of connected devices. We want to get there, and I firmly believe that we're on that trajectory.
12,000 net new connections a month. That's pretty impressive. What are they mostly being used for? What is the main application of the Sigfox network in South Africa?
Okay. So currently, where we're starting to see the connections coming from, and where the base has been in the last year, is home security.
Oh yes.
So security is a big part of our business. We've become indirectly the de facto security network. If you think of Fidelity ADT being in as a shareholder, they're starting to move what would be traditionally their own networks that security companies would have to lay down, maintain, have the technicians. We now do what I very simply call the heavy lifting around networks. So we do that. Personal security is also starting to, if you follow the news, you start to see now there's more focus on personal security. So we're starting to see a lot of good solutions coming out in the personal security space. And I think, you'll start to see that being launched more visibly, over the coming months. Also, as I said to you in the vehicle recovery space, we are also big. Utilities, we've been very successful in water metering. Okay, in the country, as I said to you, we've got over 200,000 water meters across various municipalities. Another where we're going to start to see a new growth for us is in the electricity metering space.
Oh, yeah.
So traditionally, that space was kind of dominated by the GSM space, because wherever you have an electricity meter, you have power.
It's the reason the cellular networks can't switch off their 2G infrastructure because all of this relies on it.
Yes, absolutely. So what's starting to come now is that there's starting to come some new patents and some new solutions in the electricity metering space, and that we see as a big growth market for us. And that's good, because what happens is that it helps local government, it helps us achieve what government wants to do in terms of providing cost-effective solutions to masses of people. Another big growth market for us is the logistics and supply chain. In South Africa, cold chain monitoring is important, especially for not only within South Africa, but also globally, for those of our farmers that are exporting, that are starting to look at, where they need to ensure the integrity of the cold chain from the farm all the way.
Important in load shedding conditions.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. And if you go through some of our own local retailers, they also start to guarantee the supply chain and the cold chain, and they do that using the Sigfox network, right? So and for farmers, it's important because we help them move product from South Africa, from locally into Europe, which has high or very high standards in respect to maintenance of or maintaining the food chain, the quality of the food chain, and that's where we see the big growth. You also spoke of commoditized IoT, right? Not known to everyone. You can find a lot of solutions, Sigfox solutions that are available to you as a homeowner that can purchase. You don't have to go through.
Well, I was going to ask about this specifically because I'm really interested in this personally. If I go to Takealot or to Incredible Connection today, can I buy a Sigfox IoT device in any of those stores?
So let me give you some examples. So you can go to Takealot and you can buy a smart meter, water meter that you can then install into your home. Okay. Use your own plumber. And you get a monitoring app with that, and that you can purchase through Takealot. You could also, we also have one of our channel partners who's developed the Pool Sense, which, for example, you buy the device at a local hardware, or you can buy it online through Takealot, and you then stick it into your pool. You get an app. You can start monitoring the quality of your pH levels. Okay. So then you can start doing that. Also, if you know the security shop, which is where you can buy goods, you now can buy a Sigfox enabled a RoboGuard as an example. That can communicate through Sigfox. Through some of our channel partners that have built these solutions. So
security will be a big area, and just because of the level of crime in South Africa. I mean, consumers are going to be listening to this, watching this interview and thinking, well, I could protect my laptop by putting, like a small device at the bottom of my laptop bag, or maybe I could hide something in my car to track my vehicle. Are people doing that?
So for assets, yes, you can buy Sigfox devices. I mean, so in South Africa, just to give you an example, in South Africa, there's 74 certified Sigfox devices that have been developed locally. Globally, there's over 1,000. right?
74 developed in South Africa.
In South Africa, yeah. So, a great story also for South Africa. We are the third highest in the Sigfox stable of produced certified devices.
Amazing.
So it's amazing. So it shows you the level of skills, the level of competence, and the level of knowledge that exists within the South African ecosystem. We have over 70 channel partners, Sigfox certified channel partners that then who we work with, who then build solutions to then help them to service their customers.
Okay. Okay. So just take me through this, how this works. If I buy one of these water meters, for example, from Takealot, or from wherever we happen to buy it, install it, and then I'm making use of the Sigfox network, do I need to pay a monthly fee to Sigfox? How does that work?
So normally what happens is that our channel partners will take that that burden and take that fee for you, because there's some work that needs to be done on the back end, right?
Okay.
So you would purchase, so they would offer it as a subscription service, either as a monthly service or a contract, depending on how they contract and how they sell their service. But it will normally be bundled within the service. We also have within the ecosystem what we call channel partners who provide device as a service, who their core competency is in manufacturing hardware. So they will just provide hardware that they will then on-sell to other partners that would look at system integrating that into their solution. So you find various types of channel partners. So as an example, within our ecosystem, we have hardware manufacturers, we have component distributors to ensure that the ecosystem and the supply is stable. We have software developers, because we have system integrators, and we also have some resellers that then, when we look at package solutions, that then take package solutions and then on-sell to their customers. Yeah. So there's various go-to models that are available.
Okay. Do you, as Sigfox South Africa, though, work exclusively through your channel partners, or do you engage directly with end-user customers as well?
So in South Africa, the model has always been to work with channel partners. We've got an extensive range of channel partners that vary across multiple sectors. And you could think of us as a wholesaler of IoT network. That's our primary core function. What we do, though, is that we also support the network in bringing in some devices, bringing in some software to stimulate the market and support the market where that there might not necessarily be that penetration locally. Yeah.
And then lastly, Sumeshin, I just really wanted to get an idea of the technologies that are out there, because you hear terms like NB-IoT, you hear Sigfox, you hear LoRa you've mentioned. These are all competing IoT standards, are they? Sigfox is a standard.
It's a protocol.
Developed by Sigfox.
It's a protocol. Yes, yeah.
Okay, and these other things are also protocols. The mobile networks are rolling out NB-IoT. Which I take it has some advantages and some disadvantages relative to Sigfox and LoRa, for example. Where do these three technologies fit into the market exactly, and why should businesses and consumers consider Sigfox over, say, an NB-IoT solution? Okay.
So, I'll try to answer your question responsibly. As Sigfox globally and Sigfox South Africa, we always promote convergence to ensure that we provide a best package solution to a customer, right? Yes, various technologies have their benefits. So if you look at the competing technologies, and if you look specifically with an IoT, one generally looks for two criteria. One, the distance that you need to communicate. If you think about, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, are generally short-range communication. But you're now starting to get Bluetooth 5, Bluetooth 5 or 5.0, which you now can probably look at slightly longer outdoor communication. But that's primarily been in the indoor communication. RFID as an example. Even barcode, the traditional barcode, the true story is still also a technology within the stack. So when you're looking at the distance or the range that you want to communicate, and then also the power requirements. Remember, we always come back to power requirements. That's critical, especially in IoT. So when you start to look at low power, long range, you generally have, so let's start. Low power low range, you would look at Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, those type of technologies, right? Generally in the indoor space, but you could also use them in outdoors as an example. If you look at high power, long range, then you're going to look at kind of your GSM space where you need to have like your mobile device. It needs to be charged regularly, or it needs to be, as an example, a fleet management device. It needs to be powered permanently. And then where you start to find that you're looking at low power, long range, you then find technologies like Sigfox and LoRa. So you can also, if you want to, Sigfox and LoRa are sister technologies. The only kind of, there's some subtle differences. One, in that LoRa is generally more a closed network, if you think about it, deployed for very specific use cases. Although there's certain instances where you do find global networks that are deployed on national networks rather on LoRa. And the benefit of Sigfox is that wherever Sigfox operates, it is an open access network. It is global. It allows you the ability that you don't have to provide your own network infrastructure. You don't have to provide your own maintenance technicians. You don't have to provide your own service level. And what you get with Sigfox is that you get device management. So from the time that a device gets onto our network, you can manage your device through to the backhaul, which we then ensure from a service level. We provide a global cloud-based solution. So all we do is that we very simply take the heavy lifting. We allow your device to communicate through our network. We help you package that message in small bytes, and we compute that message. We transmit that data for you to your end server wherever it sits. So we don't necessarily touch your message. We don't see your message. All we do is that we provide a secure tunnel to transmit your message.
Okay.
And we help you convert it from an RF to an IP signal.
Just lastly, Sumeshin, how do you see the IoT market in South Africa developing for the rest of this decade?
If the last year is anything for us to go by, I can only see that IoT in general is starting to see its trajectory growth path. South Africa has a lot of challenges, but the beauty is that we can help solve those challenges. And IoT can solve those challenges. As I said to you, we can help government with smart cities. We can help municipalities with revenue collection. We can help citizens with safety, and also with citizens starting to take control of their own usage. It is important. Water usage, electricity usage, consumption is everyone's responsibility. And as citizens, we should become more aware. We should become more knowledgeable, and IoT helps that. We're also starting to see that, there's a lot of CIOs and CTOs who sit with challenges in that we hear of digital transformation. We understand the constraints of how do we then easily implement some of these solutions, and IoT can be that medium to achieve digital transformation in organizations, and more importantly, achieve business value, because that's fundamentally and ultimately what we are here for, to help drive business value using technology.
It was certainly a bumpy start for IoT in South Africa, but it does sound to me like a submission that things are on the right track now, and that this technology actually has huge potential across, and it really is up to your imagination to decide what you can do with this stuff, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Great.
Sumeshin, we don't do enough of that.
Absolutely.
Imagination.
Yeah, for sure. Sumenish Naidoo is Chief Commercial Officer at Sigfox South Africa. Thanks for sharing your insights with TechCentral.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.